Villagers, thank you for love and support. I appreciate you all. Africans, we are preaching unity, but until we are able to see ourselves as one and love ourselves, all that we are doing wouldn't yield the result that we are looking for. Because when these people came into the continent, they turned us against ourselves. And that is the reason to which, even as the left, we still carry that narrative along. We don't want to see ourselves among ourselves. Yet, we can allow other people who are not of our skin type to come into our countries, live and work without us having any problem. According to the ex-president of South Africa, the unemployment, everything that is happening in South Africa wasn't created by the foreigners, the black brothers and sisters that are there. That this is a problem that was created long. The leaders are aware. It's just that the narrative has been changed to please these people. Africans, we are not our problem. The people who created this mess turned around, covered it up, and told us that we are now the problem of our own problem. We have to look beyond what we are told. We have to start seeing ourselves as one. We have to start seeing ourselves as one. Whatever situation that we are facing here in Africa is as a result of bad leadership.
We've got many challenges of the economy here. Unemployment, very serious problem. Economy is in crisis. I'm a former president of this country. And you'll never ever convince me that this economy is in crisis because of foreigners. It's not true. I'm a king. The issue that is raised about the African Renaissance, part of what has happened in the continent, and don't ask me why, is a very clear decline in the levels of commitment to a Pan-African perspective. You see it everywhere, it's very visible. So the matter of a renaissance of the continent, it suffers that kind of fate. When this commitment to a Pan-African perspective dies away, and people are very preoccupied with what happens in my country, what happens in my country, which is justified, but does not mean you focus on your country to the exclusion of the continent. There's been a retreat from that Pan-African perspective. It affects this African Renaissance thing. It's in the leadership. It's in our political leadership on the continent. It's not among the masses of the people. The masses of the people continue to share this view that as a continent we share the same destiny. What do we do together? It's a matter of great debate in this country about the so-called undocumented people. Since the beginning of diamond mining in the 19th century, later gold mining and all of that, this country has seen lots of Africans from the rest of the continent move into this country. The issue of many other Africans being present with us is not new. And historically, the indigenous African community has never ever been hostile to other Africans coming from other African countries. Take the old townships, Alexander Township in Johannesburg. That township has always had people from all over the continent. With no friction, with no nothing. Historically, the African community here has never been xenophobic about other Africans. In 2008, all manner of trouble breaks out in Alexander Township in Johannesburg. Attack on these foreigners, particularly Zimbabweans. Then it spread elsewhere. Xenophobia, Afrophobia. So me, I say, when I saw that thing, I was in government, I was president. I say, but this is not, it's not Alexander Township. Alex for decades has had Zimbabweans and Mozambicans and this and that and that, and never ever this conflict. Why? There's a mistake we made as government, and not to disclassify an intelligence document about what happened in Alexander 2008. That thing was organized to drive the Zimbabweans out of the country back to Zimbabwe because there were elections in Zimbabwe. It was people who had been driven out, they were going to vote against Bob Mugabe then. An intelligence report which has got the names and the dates and the venues where people met and planned this and so on. It's presented as a xenophobic attack by the people of Alex against it. It was wrong. It was organized, systematic for a political purpose. We've got many, many challenges of the economy here. Unemployment, very serious problem. Economy is in crisis. I'm a former president of this country, and you'll never ever convince me that this economy is in crisis because of foreigners. It's not true. It's not true. It's because there's certain things that have happened with regard to the economy which have produced economic crisis, resulting, among other things, in unemployment. So we've got to solve this problem. We've got to deal with this economy and deal with these problems of unemployment. At the same time, the country has got laws about migration of people. Let's enforce the laws. You can't just come in illegally. Yeah. So the thing about the registration of people undocumented is correct. But I'm saying it's incorrect to think that that economic crisis is caused by people who have come from the rest of the world. One of the things that happened, colleagues, very important in my view, is that the continent genuinely took it as one of its responsibility to help us to fight and defeat apartheid. Ordinary citizens would contribute monies to go into a common fund in order to support the struggle here in Namibia and Zimbabwe. That became a people's issue. Wherever you went around the continent, I've got Welly Lentlapo here, former ambassador. Wherever you went on the continent, 1980, 1985, the focus on South Africa among the ordinary people was very high. The consequence of it is that when South Africa becomes liberated, the same masses, they say, I'm going to South Africa. It's natural. They develop that kind of very fondness and closeness to this country. So we must go to this country. It doesn't matter how many electrical fences you build. You are not going to stop these Africans coming here. So our challenge is to say, how do we deal with that reality? And then, my colleagues, you might also remember that a few years back, there were similar so-called xenophobic attacks in Durban. What the provincial government did there was to appoint a commission to go into that, which was chaired by Judge Navi Pillay. You'll find that report on the internet. And they deal with this question. They say the reality of the matter is, you've got many migrants coming from the continent and elsewhere who come here, and there's no way I'm going to stop it. The issue is, how do we deal with these things who become new citizens of South Africa, new residents? We've got to find a way of dealing with it. When we're new in government here, issue was raised about there are many Mozambicans who come across the border and get employed by the farmers in the then Eastern Transvaal, paid low wages, outcompete the South African farm workers and all that. Must deal with this matter. So we agreed, and then a big movement took place to deport these Mozambicans back to Mozambique. I think we continued that program for 2 months at best. and stopped it. The reason we stopped it is because the following week after they've been deported, they are back in the country. Or you had Lindela, this place they call Lindela for people who are being deported. Come Christmas time, the Zimbabweans would go to Lindela to say, I'm illegal. So that the government must convey them at its cost, transform them back to Zimbabwe. 2 days after New Year, they are back. How do you deal with this situation? I'm saying that I'm hoping that in the national dialogue there will be a discussion of this. As an African, I belong to this old tradition. As in our culture, you are never ever hostile to a stranger. A visitor, a visitor who comes and get the best food in the house. It's a frame of mind. I hope that the matter will get discussed and then resolved in that context. The issue that has been discussed very vigorously on the land question, it's important that it has been discussed. What has happened to land that has been redistributed to people who have been dispossessed of land since 1994? And part of what you will see is that in the overwhelming majority of cases where people have won land claims, they have preferred to take the money rather than the land. It communicates a particular message, because here the history of land dispossession of the African community is of long standing. The result is that the attitude of the African population towards agriculture is very different from the position of the Zimbabweans towards agriculture. I saw an article over the weekend. The farms that where people took the farms, they say in the majority have collapsed because of absence of support from the government and all of that. So I'm saying we need to, the matter of food security is correct. It needs to be reviewed in the light of the actual history. What has happened with regard to this thing? It's like the question about equality in education. I'm sure all of us are very unhappy about our educational system. It's not producing the kind of person that is required. People who go to university and they get bachelor's degrees in sociology and so on, afterwards they've qualified, they've got certificate, but what do they do? Attitude towards technical education, the TVET colleges, even the quality of the colleges themselves. I know of a TVET college here in Pretoria, which in the past, they would train technicians and people of this kind who would be required in the automobile industry. And BMW here in Roslyn was saying the equipment they are training on is 15 years out of date. So that by the time they take them on, the fact that they've got to retrain them. The kind of output, what comes out of the universities, unemployed graduates, a legitimate complaint, because maybe we're training for the wrong professions. And this fundamental matter of the state of the economy. Is the economy growing enough to be able to absorb new entrants? That becomes part of the matter. Thanks for the question.
It is neither our brothers from other places that are taking the jobs that we have. We have to start understanding things in this manner. They have never created the job for you in the first place. This problem has been created for a very long time. And it was created by the same people that you are living with that are of different skin type. It's not the Africans in South Africa that are your problem. That is what we all have to understand, that it's not our brothers who come into our countries from different places that are causing the unemployment, whatever to happen in the country. This thing has been there for a very long time. And until we get leaders that will take our sovereignty into our own hands, take control of our resources that we have, we will continue to be facing this same problem. There will never be a change when we continue to live under the system called democracy. Why are we not targeting the other people that come, saying they are living illegally? They don't have documentation, and always we go after the people that are of our skin type, because this has been the narrative these people gave to us. Even if you move all the people from other countries from your country, you will still not be free, because the system is not meant for them to make you self-sufficient. Democracy is there to cripple you and I, to make us dependent, and our leaders do not have any power to create the jobs that we are looking for. We have to stop all these things that we have been doing to ourselves and understand the system and the game these people are playing on us. Even if they leave, you still have problem. Until you are able to fight against the system that was imposed on you and give back everything that belonged to these people, you will never be free. And that is the reason to which Donald Trump was even protecting the white minority on your land. If we are saying that the blacks in South Africa are the reasons to which you do not have jobs, what about the land? Are they the reason to which the white minority are having the vast land? We have to think beyond things that are put before us. And until we stop fighting ourselves and unite, we'll continue to be where we are. Because even if we all live in our respective countries, it wouldn't change the problem. It wouldn't change the narrative. Neither will it solve the problem that we have. Enough of all these things. We cannot say we love Africa, yet we cannot love ourselves. Other people do not love us, and even we ourselves do not love ourselves. We have to rise and come together as a people to fight for that better Africa we are looking for. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, Southern Africa, and in South Africa.